Hi, this is Nahid, and welcome to our goal setting series. Today, we're going to talk about SMART goals versus growth goals. Now, you've probably already heard about SMART goals. Tons of people use this formula, and they tend to use the acronym in even different ways, with the A standing for different things and the T standing for different things. But what's really great about SMART goals is they help you create a plan. This is a copy of the SMART Goals worksheet that I give my clients. And one of the great things about this is it kind of describes what each letter stands for pretty specifically. So I'm going to read these to you. So the S stands for specific. And a way to think about specific is if someone were observing you, how specifically would they know that you've accomplished this goal? What would they see as evidence? The M stands for measurable. While you're working towards this goal, how will you measure your progress? A stands for attainable. And what attainable means is with your current skills and capabilities, does it make sense that you could attain this goal? And are there skills and capabilities maybe that you need to develop? So what gives you the confidence that you can attain this goal? Write a short list of skills that you could work on to improve that would make achieving this goal even more attainable for you. Realistic is slightly different from attainable. Briefly, write a realistic list of steps or plan that shows how you would accomplish the goal. Do these steps make sense based on what you know about your situation and the other priorities that will be pulling for your time and energy? So what's the difference between attainable and realistic? Attainable means, does it make sense that me with my skills could achieve this goal? Realistic means, does it make sense that me with everything else that's pulling at me could achieve this goal? So there's slightly a different nuance to each of these letters. And I think it's important to make that distinction. And then T is time-based, or I also like to use the word trackable. In what time frame would you like to achieve this goal? When would you like to have it complete by? And then working backwards, when will you need to achieve certain milestones to easily make your deadline? And then for the trackable part of it, I like to actually write some of those milestones down so you can track your progress. So let's see how this plays out. I'm going to take a sort of a generic goal that a lot of people I work with have, and that is that they want to either generate new business opportunities for themselves as new potential job opportunities or as new clients in a business they run. But whatever the reason, they want to get out there and network and generate some good things for themselves. And that's sometimes vague and hard to articulate, but let's put it in SMART goal format and see how to make it more clear. So for S, or specific, I'm going to say I would like to generate 3 new business offers by March 31st, 2025. See how specific it is? Anybody seeing you will know if you generated those 3 offers or not, right? Measurable. Okay, so how do I measure this? Well, I'm having 10 conversations per week with people who might refer me or give me ideas, and I'm getting more leads as I have more conversations. So one way I can measure this is what's coming back to me for those 10 conversations. And I would like to make sure that I'm getting at least one very promising conversation by the 3rd week and 1 per week after that. So now this is a way to measure and also monitor if what I'm doing to achieve my goal is actually working. All right, so that's measurable. Attainable. All right, well, why do I know that I, with my capabilities, can attain this goal? Well, I'm highly qualified in my field, and I think I can get better at articulating a value proposition. So if I could improve on that and get better, which is, pretty attainable to me, I think I could learn how to better articulate my value proposition, then I think this is very attainable to me. But what about realistic? Well, is it reasonable to expect, with everything else that's pulling at me, that I can get on LinkedIn every day and send about 10 personal reach out messages? Could I attend 1 live professional networking event each week? And could I bring home business cards from 10 people to follow up with? And could I reach out to 5 to 10 additional people each week who just happen to be in my existing network? So now I'm really asking myself, is it realistic? Will I actually do things? Does it make sense based on the time I have and based on the other things that might be pulling for my time? And then at the end, time-based or trackable. So here, for this particular goal of generating business opportunities for myself, if I'm initiating conversations with 25 to 30 people each week, over time, I should see better conversations with prospects coming out of all that. If I don't see this kind of progress, I can reassess my goal or my approach. So you have a plan here, but you also have a plan to monitor how you're doing and make adjustments. So it makes things very, very clear. Now I want to talk to you about a different type of goal, which I call growth goal. Now this is based on the growth mindset work by Carol Dweck. And you can look up Carol Dweck or growth mindset on the internet, and you can find videos that she's given and videos that other people have given about what growth mindset is all about. In general, what I call your growth goals are the goals that you want to become more masterful at. So things you want to get better at. For example, I may want to get better at practicing the piano. Now, I could create a SMART goal and say, I want to be able to do this particular piece by such and such a date. But what this does is it gets more into the pace of what it's like to progress in your goal. If you're only looking at the end result, you're going to struggle a lot anyway through the process. This allows you to enjoy the process more and also notice your progress along the process. So what a growth goal does is it empowers you to grow more effective long term, and it also empowers you to build more mental resilience so that when you have failures or when you're taking 3 steps back for every 1 step forward, you don't give up. So I made a little acronym out of this, and we'll go through what each of the letters mean. So G for get better. So write your goal using the phrase, I want to get better at, or I want to improve my ability to. And if you want to watch TED Talks by Carol Dweck to learn more and deeply understand the growth mindset. For our role model, who can you observe as a role model or otherwise learn from? So what I like about this is you're trying to achieve a goal. It's probably true that other people have achieved this kind of goal in the past. People that you look up to, people that you can watch. Who can you watch and tap into? Probably people have written books on this. So R can also stand for resources. What resources can you tap into to learn what it's like to be more masterful at this skill? So you can get direct access to resources from a teacher or a coach, but you could also read books or watch training videos. These are all resources that help you get a sense for what it's like to be more masterful at this thing you're trying to get better at. Ongoing practice. What can you do on a regular basis, ideally daily, to practice getting better at this skill? What's a baby step or a small action you can take when it feels too hard or overwhelming to do your regular level of practice? So the idea is you are not going to achieve your goal if you're not doing a little something frequently to get you there. So we can have a goal and then we can just think about it in our head and then maybe take a little action and then not do anything for several days. But we're not going to really move towards the goal unless we're taking consistent action. Consistent action can be draining. When you create ongoing practice for yourself, you end up building habits. And that's when you actually set yourself up for success. So make sure you have something that you can practice every day, even if it's something really small. W stands for welcome feedback. It's really important to get feedback so you know how you're progressing. Where will you get the feedback? Now, when I did the specific goals, I said, well, I can see, am I actually getting responses from people? When I did it in SMART goal format, I sort of incorporated this feedback idea, which is, am I getting good responses from the 10 conversations I'm having? This is just formalizing that a little bit. So you can get feedback from what happens as a result of your actions, or you could get feedback from people, but you need to get some kind of feedback to help you understand how you're doing and learn where to make adjustments as you go. T stands for trust the process. When you notice negative emotions or self-talk, how can you shift yourself to a positive mindset reminding yourself that consistent practice will ultimately yield results. So we're going to talk about this later in the series, but it's very, very common to start working towards a goal and then get into this phase that I call the slog. And what most people do is when they start the slog phase, it becomes so hard and they're really not seeing a lot of progress. So they end up quitting. And quitting ensures that you don't get anywhere. But if you can find a way to persist through that whole period, which I call the slog or the marathon, you have to get through that to get the results. And because most people don't really know that going in, they sort of see the slog as a sign of failure. And so they give up before they get through it. So really, if you're setting a goal in growth goal format, you want to set yourself up to trust the process and understand that the process is going to take longer than you will expect it to when you start. And H is hone your effort. So how will you celebrate your efforts? How will you approach the process of adjusting your efforts? So success is really a lot more about effort than results. If you can get good at putting effort towards this goal, you are going to go somewhere and you're going to get something. You're going to make something happen. And so whatever that thing is that happens, that can teach you how to make adjustments. And that's really a different mindset. That's why it's based on growth mindset. It's a different mindset than only looking at the surface level, which is what do I want to accomplish, right? If you're only looking at what you want to accomplish, you're not taking into consideration the whole process of accomplishing it. Putting your goals in growth goal format allows you to really understand the process and stay motivated throughout the process. And I think that's the key to growth goals. All right, so let's go through the same goal, which is I want to generate new business opportunities for myself, and let's put it in growth goal format. So what growth goal format does is it helps you improve your skills and effectiveness, which is slightly different than having a clear plan, which is what SMART goals help you with. So to get better, I want to get better at selling myself. A role model or resources, I have 3 colleagues who are good at this, and I have been recommended 2 books. So now I know exactly where to tap into to get better. Ongoing practice. Well, I know I have to have conversations with people where I talk about what I do. I can commit to having 1 conversation every day with someone, even my sister, where I talk about what I do. But my goal is to have several conversations per day, per week. So I'm going to practice getting better and better about talking about what I do. A lot of people have a really hard time talking about what they do. And that's the barrier to success when it comes to getting job leads or getting client leads. Welcome feedback. So how can I get feedback? Well, in this case, I said, I can record some of my conversations on Zoom and watch them later, and I can practice with a few people close to me and get their feedback. I can also ask the people who've hired me what it was that I did that was most important in their decision. So even having to think about this gives you 3 good ideas of how you can learn how you're doing. And most people will have never thought about this when they set the goal in the first place. Trust the process. All right, so how am I going to trust the process? Well, the change model, that's the part with the slog in it, which we'll talk about in a different video, helps me remember that persistent effort will yield results. I'll learn from my mistakes and I'll change my approach often, but as long as I'm practicing and learning, I'll get better. So that's just a statement that I make that really helps me remember to trust the process and also reminds me of what the process is. Hone my effort. As I get better, I'll raise the stakes and practice with scarier conversations. So when I started this business, after the first few years, every time business slowed a little bit and I wanted to bring more people on, I knew that the key to success was to do some outreach calls. And I knew that the key would be to do about 10 outreach calls per week. That's just what I had learned from experience. But it was still hard to make those calls. And when I was feeling not up to making those calls, I would always start with people I knew, friends, just to check in and say hi. I never did a sales pitch or anything. It was just connecting with people. And then when I got more confident, then I would start calling people who were maybe scarier, people who I thought could be big clients, and I just hadn't reached out to them in a while. But by that time, I built up my confidence. And I think that's what honing the effort is. As you get better at the smaller aspects of what you're doing, then you can challenge yourself to do it better and to do it in higher stakes situations. So to summarize, let's take a few common goals that people have, and let's talk about how they might look at it from a SMART goal perspective versus a growth goal perspective versus going even deeper. So losing weight, I want to get to 130 pounds by June 30th. That's SMART goal. And you might, when you write out your SMART goal, you might get a plan. Maybe it's calorie counting, maybe it's exercise, but whatever it is, you're basically talking specifically about what you're going to do. A growth perspective would be, I want to get better at making healthy food choices. So you can tell that that's almost a completely different approach, but now you're diving underneath. You're developing a habit of making decisions about food that serve you versus not serve you, right? And as that skill gets built up, naturally, you're going to be more likely to achieve your goal. Now, deeper awareness, this is something that we will get to in this series, maybe. And if we don't get to it in this series, you'll find tons of videos on my channel about it. So don't forget to subscribe, because I talk a lot about what gets in the way of success and how to get over that. And a lot of it is that we're not aware of what's really going on inside us. So a lot of people who are overweight and they want to lose weight are overweight because they overeat, because they don't only eat when they're hungry, but they also eat when they just want food. And they don't really think about why, because at the time they just want it and they eat it. But going into that deeper level, which is even deeper than growth goals, will help you understand, well, what's going on there when I eat more than I really need, right? And as you get through that and you get that awareness and you're able to resolve any conflicts that are causing that, then everything else becomes easier. Let's talk about getting a new job or more clients or customers. I want 10 new clients by March 31st. Again, right on the surface, SMART goal. Gives you a clear plan, tells you exactly what to do. If you look at it from a growth perspective, I want to get better at selling myself. Now you're building a skill, and as you get better at the skill, it's going to be much easier to achieve your SMART goal. Deeper awareness. I want to understand why I feel so awkward selling myself. If you can get rid of the awkwardness, it makes all the difference in the world. But SMART goals and growth goals might touch awkwardness a little bit, but deeper awareness, that will really, really touch the goals. And I guess that's what I would say is when you hire a coach to go through that. But there's also lots of videos that will help you, guide you through some of the thinking process that can help you tune into that awareness of why you're feeling awkward. And then once you kind of land on why, then it's a matter of, well, how can I make a shift so that why doesn't exist anymore, so that awkwardness doesn't exist anymore? I think I can give you an example for that one too, and it had to do with sales, this particular example. For me, because I have such authentic relationships with my clients that honor what they want, I had a really hard time with selling in the beginning of my business because it felt kind of manipulative to me. And the relationships that I enter into with my clients feel sacred to me. In other words, there's an honor between us and it's about them and it's not about me. So I felt that some of the sales lessons that I learned were much more about trying to manipulate people. And I didn't like that. And once I landed on why I was feeling so awkward every time I tried to force myself to sell, I realized that I was going against my value system. And landing on that was really a huge epiphany because it helped me understand that, you know, if I am going to create a relationship with someone that sort of emulates the type of relationship that we would have if they choose to hire me, then I can't start that relationship off in a different way. So I learned how to get to know people in a way that was very similar to the way that I would be working with them if they chose to hire me. And it made all the difference in the world. So it's no problem for me to go out and talk to people now, where it was a huge problem for me to go out to talk to people when I was trying to grow my business at the beginning. So another goal, reaching out to people more. I want to reach out to 5 potential leads per day. I want to my reach out process to be easier for me. And if I'm still not reaching out, I want to address whatever's holding me back. That seems really similar to the second one, but you get the pattern. Okay. So one thing to know is it's perfectly okay to use all 3 types of goal setting to support your change. SMART goals bring clarity. growth goals develop you, and deeper work provides you with the insights that transform you. So with that, if you want to do the deeper work, we do this in my growth program, and all you have to do is jump on my website to get more information about that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you next time.